The clinic parking lot was empty except for 3 cars. Simone sat in hers, engine off, holding a receipt she'd printed at the office supply store down the street. It looked official enough: Women's Health Center, across the top, a date, a procedure code that meant nothing, and a dollar amount that made her stomach turn. She wasn't sick from pregnancy. She was sick from what she was about to do. Her phone buzzed. Derek's name lit up the screen. "Done yet?" the message read. "No, are you okay?" "No, do you need me there?" Just checking if she'd eliminated the problem like he'd demanded. Simone looked down at her stomach. 14 weeks. Barely showing, but she knew. She'd known for 6 weeks now, had kept the secret for 2 of them, and had watched her marriage implode for the last 4. 4 weeks ago she'd found the texts. Derek and Veronica from his office, planning weekend getaways while Simone worked late on their joint consulting business. The messages went back 8 months. 8 months of lies while she'd been trying to save their marriage, while she'd been taking fertility treatments because Derek said he wanted a family. Then she got pregnant naturally without the treatments. She'd been so happy for exactly 48 hours. That's how long it took Derek to find the positive pregnancy test in the bathroom trash. She'd expected joy, maybe shock, perhaps worry about timing. She got rage. "You can't be serious right now," he'd said, staring at the test like it was a bomb. "Simone, this is the worst possible timing." She'd laughed nervously. "Babies don't exactly work on schedules, Derek. We've been trying." "You've been trying?" he cut her off. "I've been waiting for the right time, and this isn't it. The business is at a critical stage. We can't afford this distraction." Distraction. He called their child a distraction. "This is our baby," she'd whispered. "We've been married for 5 years. We talked about this. We talked about it eventually. Not now." Derek paced their bedroom, running his hands through his hair. "Look, I know this is hard, but we need to be practical. You need to take care of this." The words hung in the air like poison. "Take care of this?" Simone repeated slowly. "You mean?" "You know what I mean." Derek couldn't even look at her. "It's early. It just sells right now. We can try again in a few years when we're really ready." Simone had stood there, frozen, as her husband, the man she'd loved for 7 years, married for 5, casually suggested she terminate their child like it was a business decision. "And if I don't?" she'd asked quietly. That's when Derek finally met her eyes. The coldness there told her everything she needed to know. "Then you're choosing to be a single mother, Simone?" "Because I'm not ready for this and I won't be forced into it." She'd wanted to scream. Wanted to throw things. Wanted to demand how he could be so cruel. But instead she'd grabbed her laptop and locked herself in their guest room. That's when she started digging, started checking phone records and credit card statements she'd been ignoring for months. That's when she found everything. Veronica wasn't just his affair. She was his future, or so he thought. Derek had been planning to leave for months. He'd been moving money, setting up separate accounts, preparing to split their business in a way that would leave him with the profitable clients and Simone with the scraps. The pregnancy had just accelerated his timeline. For 3 days Simone had played along. She'd cried, she'd seemed devastated, and she'd finally, tearfully agreed to take care of it, as Derek so delicately put it. She'd made an appointment at a clinic 40 minutes away, told Derek she wanted to go alone, and watched relief flood his face. He thought he was free. He had no idea what she was planning. The night before her appointment, Simone had contacted her lawyer, not their shared business attorney but her own, someone Derek didn't know about. She'd handed over every piece of evidence she'd collected: the affair, the hidden accounts, the business manipulation. Her lawyer's eyes had gone wide. "This is enough to take him for everything," the lawyer had said. "But you need to be strategic. Don't let him know you know." Not yet. So Simone had gone to work that morning, kissed Derek goodbye like nothing was wrong, and driven to the office supply store instead of the clinic. She'd created her fake receipt, sat in an empty parking lot for 2 hours, and now she was about to go home and give the performance of her life. Her phone buzzed again. "Simone? Everything okay?" She typed back, "Just finished. Heading home." 3 dots appeared immediately. "Good. This is for the best. We'll get through this together." Together. The word made her want to laugh. They'd never been together, not really. She'd been building a life while he'd been building an exit strategy. Simone started her car and began the drive home. In her purse, next to the fake receipt, were divorce papers ready to be filed. In her bank account was half of everything they owned, quietly transferred that morning. In her car was a box of her most important possessions from their shared office. And in her body, protected and growing, was her daughter. She didn't know yet that the baby was a girl, wouldn't know for another few weeks, but somehow she knew. A daughter who would never know the man who'd tried to erase her before she could take her first breath. Derek thought this was over. He thought the problem was solved. He had no idea that Simone had just declared war. When she pulled into their driveway, Derek was waiting on the porch. He looked concerned, the perfect image of a supportive husband. If she didn't know better, she might have believed it. "Hey," he said softly as she got out of the car. "How are you feeling?" Simone let tears fill her eyes, real tears though not for the reason he thought. "It's done," she whispered. "I just want to lie down." Derek pulled her into a hug, and over his shoulder, Simone saw his phone screen light up with a message from Veronica. "Can't wait to see you tonight." Tonight. He was going to her tonight, probably to celebrate. "Of course," Derek murmured. "Go rest. I'll bring you some tea." Simone walked inside their house, soon to be just his house, and went straight to their bedroom. She lay down on the bed and put her hand on her stomach, where her secret grew safe and protected. "It's just us now," she whispered to the tiny life inside her. "And I'm going to give you everything. Everything he never could." Downstairs, she heard Derek on the phone, his voice low. "Yeah, she just got back. It's done. I know. I'll be over as soon as she falls asleep. Love you too." Love. He told Veronica he loved her in the same house where his wife was supposedly recovering from aborting his child. Simone closed her eyes and smiled. Let him think he'd won. Tomorrow she'd file the papers. Tomorrow she'd start the process of taking everything he tried to steal from her. Tomorrow she'd begin building the life he tried to deny her. But tonight she'd let him believe the lie. She'd let him think she'd chosen him over their child. She'd let him slip out to Veronica's apartment, believing his wife was too sedated to notice. Because the sweetest revenge wasn't immediate. It was strategic. And Simone had always been the better strategist. The morning sunlight filtered through the curtains, and Simone woke to find Derek's side of the bed empty. She checked her phone, 6:47 a.m. He'd probably come home sometime after midnight and slept in the guest room, citing consideration for her recovery. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so pathetic. She got up slowly, deliberately, and caught her reflection in the mirror. She looked tired, which worked perfectly for what she needed to do today. For the next 2 weeks, she'd be the grieving wife, devastated by the choice Derek had forced her to make. She'd be weak, vulnerable, distracted. And while she played that role, she'd be systematically dismantling everything they'd built together. Derek was in the kitchen when she came downstairs making coffee. He looked up with what she supposed was meant to be a sympathetic expression. "Hey, how are you feeling?" "Tired," Simone said, which was true. She'd barely slept, but not for the reasons he imagined. Cramping a bit. A lie, but he wouldn't know the difference. "You should take the day off," Derek said, pouring her a cup of coffee. "I can handle things at the office." Simone almost laughed. Handle things at the office. The office where he'd been slowly moving clients to his personal accounts, setting up for the day he'd leave her with nothing. "Maybe I will," she said, taking the coffee. "Actually, I think I'll take the whole week. I need some time." Derek's relief was visible. "That's probably smart. Take care of yourself. We can talk about everything else later." Everything else. Like how she'd agreed to terminate their child for his convenience. Like how she was supposed to just move on from this like it never happened. "Yeah," Simone said softly. "Later." After Derek left for work, Simone waited exactly 30 minutes. Then she moved. She went to their home office and began photographing every document she hadn't already copied. Financial statements, client contracts, business licenses. Everything. She uploaded them to a secure cloud account Derek didn't know about. Then she called her lawyer. "It's Simone. I'm ready to move forward." "Good," Monica said. Her lawyer's voice was crisp and efficient. "I've reviewed everything you sent. We have a strong case. But I need to know, are you absolutely sure? Once we file, there's no going back." Simone looked around the office she'd helped build, in the house she'd helped buy, for the business she'd helped grow. Derek thought he could erase her contribution with an affair and some creative accounting. He was wrong. "I'm sure," Simone said. "File everything. Divorce, asset division, fraud claims, all of it. And Monica? I want him served at the office. In front of everyone." There was a pause. "That's aggressive." "He demanded I terminate our child while he was sleeping with his coworker," Simone said flatly. "I think I'm being remarkably restrained." "Fair point," Monica agreed. "I'll have the papers ready by tomorrow." "Are you sure you don't want to tell him about the pregnancy?" Simone put her hand on her stomach. "Not yet. Right now, let him think he got exactly what he wanted. The truth will hurt more later. After hanging up, Simone spent the rest of the day methodically separating her life from Derek's. She opened new bank accounts at a different institution. She contacted their biggest clients, the ones she'd brought in, the ones who worked with her specifically, and quietly let them know she'd be starting her own firm soon. Their responses were immediate and supportive. 3 clients asked if they could follow her. 2 offered investment in her new venture. Derek had underestimated her so completely it was almost insulting. That evening, Derek came home early with takeout from her favorite restaurant. "I thought you might not feel like cooking," he said, unpacking Thai food on their kitchen counter. Simone smiled weakly. "That's thoughtful. Thank you." They ate in near silence, Derek occasionally glancing at her like she might break. She played the part perfectly, picking at her food, staring into space, looking lost. "It's going to be okay," Derek said finally. "I know this is hard right now, but we made the right choice. In a few years, when we're really ready, we'll try again. We'll plan it properly." Simone looked at him, really looked at him, and wondered when he'd become such a stranger. Or maybe he'd always been this person and she'd just been too in love to see it. "You really believe that, don't you?" she asked quietly. "Believe what?" "That we'll try again. That there's a future here." Derek frowned. "Of course there is. Simone, I know I pushed you on this decision and I'm sorry about that. But it really was the right timing issue. We'll get through this rough patch." "Rough patch," Simone repeated. "Is that what we're calling it? What else would we call it?" Derek's tone shifted, defensive now. "Look, I know you're emotional right now. The hormones probably haven't even settled yet. But we need to focus on moving forward." Moving forward. With him and Veronica already planning their future behind her back. Simone stood up, her appetite completely gone. "I'm going to bed. Thank you for dinner." She left Derek at the table and went upstairs. Once in their bedroom, she locked the door and pulled out her phone. She had emails from 2 of her clients confirming they'd switched to her new firm. She had a text from Monica saying the papers would be ready in the morning. And she had a message from her doctor's office confirming her next prenatal appointment for the following week. Simone opened her notes app and started making lists. Apartment options in Atlanta, where she had family and Derek had none. Names for her new consulting firm. Baby items she'd need to buy once she was safely away. A new life, built on truth instead of lies. Her phone buzzed. A text from Derek, even though he was just downstairs. "I'm going to run to the office. Left some files I need for tomorrow. Be back late. Don't wait up." Simone almost felt sorry for him. He wasn't even trying to come up with good lies anymore. She texted back, "Okay. Feel better after some sleep anyway." 20 minutes later, she heard his car pull out of the driveway. Simone went to the window and watched him drive away, toward Veronica's apartment, no doubt. Toward the woman he'd chosen over his wife and child. Good. Let him have tonight. Let him celebrate his freedom. Let him believe everything had gone according to his plan. Because tomorrow morning, Derek would walk into his office to find divorce papers being served. Tomorrow afternoon, he'd discover that half their business assets had been legally transferred to Simone's name. Tomorrow evening, he'd realize that the wife he'd underestimated had just checkmated him. Simone lay down on the bed and pulled up house listings in Atlanta on her phone. 3-bedroom apartments with good school districts, even though it would be years before she'd need to worry about schools. She was planning ahead, thinking about the future. The future Derek had tried to deny her. Her phone rang. "Monica. I couldn't wait until morning," her lawyer said. "I just finished reviewing the business documents you sent. Simone, he's been siphoning money for almost a year. We can not only get you half of everything, we can make a case for fraud." "How bad is it?" Simone asked. "Bad enough that he could face criminal charges if you wanted to push it. But here's the thing. If we threaten criminal charges, we can negotiate a much better settlement. He'll give you everything you want just to avoid prosecution." Simone thought about it. She could destroy Derek completely. She could have him arrested, charged, publicly humiliated. But that wasn't what she wanted. She wanted to vanish. She wanted to take her child and build something beautiful somewhere Derek couldn't touch them. She wanted him to wake up one day and realize he'd traded everything real for nothing. "Use it as leverage," Simone said. "I want a clean break. Full settlement, no contest divorce, and no claim to any future earnings or ventures. Make it so he can't touch anything I build from here on out." "And the pregnancy?" Monica asked gently. "I'll deal with that later," Simone said. "Once the divorce is final and I'm in Atlanta. By then, it'll be too late for him to do anything about it." After hanging up, Simone allowed herself one moment of grief. Not for her marriage, that had died the moment Derek told her to take care of it, but for the version of her life she'd imagined. The family dinners, the shared accomplishments, the growing old together. That life was gone. But the life ahead, that was hers to create. No lies. No betrayal. No man who could look at his child and see only an inconvenience. Simone pulled out her laptop and started drafting her resignation from their joint business. She'd give 2 weeks' notice, professional and clean. By the time those 2 weeks were up, she'd be in Atlanta with her new firm launched. Her phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. "This is Veronica. I thought you should know Derek is with me tonight. He says you're not really together anymore. I think it's time to stop pretending." Simone stared at the message. Veronica was trying to rub it in, trying to hurt her. If only she knew that Simone had already won. Instead of responding, Simone screenshotted the message and sent it to Monica. "Add this to the evidence file," she wrote. "Adultery documentation." Then she blocked the number and went back to her apartment listings. In her old life, that text would have destroyed her. But Simone wasn't that woman anymore. She was someone new. Someone stronger. Someone who knew her worth didn't depend on a man who couldn't see her value. She was someone who was about to show everyone exactly what she was capable of. And it started tomorrow. The process server walked into Derek's office at exactly 10:15 a.m. Simone knew because Monica texted her the moment it happened. She was 2 states away by then, driving toward Atlanta with her car packed full of everything that mattered. She'd left the furniture. Left the dishes. Left the expensive art Derek had insisted they buy. None of it meant anything. Her phone rang 20 minutes later, Derek's name flashing on the screen. She let it ring. He called 4 more times before finally leaving a voicemail. "Simone, what the hell is this? Divorce papers? And fraud charges? You can't be serious. Call me back right now. We need to talk about this like adults." Like adults. As if he'd been acting like an adult when he demanded she terminate their pregnancy. As if he'd been adult about sneaking around with Veronica for 8 months. She deleted the voicemail and kept driving. By noon, she'd crossed into Tennessee. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Calls from Derek, texts from mutual friends asking what was going on, even a message from Derek's mother asking if they could work things out. Simone turned her phone on Do Not Disturb and focused on the road ahead. Atlanta appeared on the horizon just after 4 p.m. The city lights sparkled in the late afternoon sun, and Simone felt something she hadn't felt in months: hope. Her cousin Tasha lived here, had a guest room waiting, had promised to help her get settled. More importantly, Derek had no connections here. No family, no friends, no business partners. The city was hers. The apartment she'd chosen sight unseen was in Buckhead, a gorgeous 2-bedroom with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the city. Expensive, but she could afford it now. Monica had frozen their joint accounts and secured an emergency settlement that would tide her over until the final divorce. Derek was probably losing his mind. Good. Simone pulled into the parking garage of her new building and sat for a moment, hands on her still flat stomach. "We made it," she whispered. "New city. New life. Just you and me." Her phone rang, Monica this time. "You should probably know," her lawyer said without preamble. "Derek just showed up at my office demanding to speak with me. I had security escort him out." "What did he say?" "The usual. That you're being irrational. That the abortion obviously messed with your hormones. That if you just talked to him you could work this out." Monica paused. "He has no idea about the pregnancy, does he?" "No," Simone said. "And I want to keep it that way as long as possible." "Smart. The longer he's in the dark, the stronger your position. By the time he finds out, you'll be completely established here. There won't be anything he can do." After hanging up, Simone grabbed the first of many boxes from her car and headed to her new apartment. The space was even better than the photos: hardwood floors, modern kitchen, and that incredible view. She could picture everything. A crib in the 2nd bedroom. A home office where she'd build her consulting empire. A life that belonged entirely to her. Tasha arrived an hour later with pizza and wine, then laughed when Simone explained she couldn't drink. "Wait, you're pregnant?" Tasha's eyes went wide. "Does Derek?" "No," Simone cut her off. "And he's not going to know. Not for a long time." She explained everything while they unpacked boxes. The affair. The demand for abortion. The fake receipt and secret pregnancy. The divorce papers and her escape. Tasha listened with growing anger on her face. "That man," she said when Simone finished, "is going to regret every single choice he made." "He already does," Simone said, checking her phone. 17 missed calls from Derek. He just doesn't know the half of it yet. The next morning, Simone filed her business license for Sterling Solutions. Wait, no, she couldn't use Sterling. She changed it to Meridian Consulting Group. Clean, professional, and entirely hers. By noon, she'd set up her LLC, registered with the state, and opened business banking accounts. By evening, she'd sent out announcements to her former clients. The response was immediate. 5 of them signed contracts within 24 hours. 2 others asked for meetings. Derek called 37 times that day. She didn't answer once. On day 3 in Atlanta, Simone woke up to an email from their business accountant. Someone Derek had clearly pressured into reaching out. Simone, I don't know what's going on between you and Derek, but the business is in crisis mode. Several clients are demanding to speak with you specifically. Derek says you've quit, but he won't explain why. Can we schedule a call? She forwarded the email to Monica with a note. Let him drown. By the end of the week, Simone had signed 8 new clients, hired a virtual assistant, and set up her home office. She had her first prenatal appointment scheduled with an Atlanta OB/GYN. She had a new doctor, new insurance, new everything. She'd erased Derek from her life like he tried to erase their child from his. The only message she sent him came through Monica. All communication must go through my attorney. Do not contact me directly again. Derek's response came within minutes. We need to talk about the business. You're destroying everything we built. Simone's reply, you destroyed it. I'm just finishing what you started. Tasha came over that weekend with baby magazines and a bottle of sparkling cider. Okay, I know you're in revenge mode, she said, but can we please take a minute to acknowledge that you're going to be a mom? Because I'm already planning to be the best auntie ever. Simone laughed, really laughed, for the first time in weeks. I'm terrified, she admitted. What if I can't do this alone? You're not alone, Tasha said firmly. You've got me, you've got your mom, you've got this whole city to make your own. That baby is going to have so much love, they won't even notice what they're missing. What if Derek finds out? Then he finds out. Tasha shrugged. But by then you'll be so successful and so happy that it won't matter what he thinks. He gave up his rights to this baby when he told you to get rid of it. You don't owe him anything. Simone put her hand on her stomach, where a tiny bump was just beginning to show. 14 weeks now. In her second trimester. Safe. Her phone buzzed. Monica. Derek just agreed to all our terms, her lawyer said, excitement clear in her voice. Full settlement, no contest divorce, clean break. He's desperate to avoid the fraud charges going public. The papers will be finalized in 60 days. 60 days, Simone repeated. By then she'd be showing. By then she'd have a thriving business. By then she'd be everything he tried to prevent her from becoming. There's more, Monica said. He asked me to include a message. He says he's sorry and he wants to talk. He says he made a mistake. Tell him, Simone said slowly, that some mistakes can't be fixed. And some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. That night, Simone sat by her floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out at the Atlanta skyline. Somewhere a few states away, Derek was probably with Veronica, probably complaining about his unreasonable ex-wife. Let him complain. She was building an empire. And in 6 months, when she walked down this same street with her daughter in a stroller, when she looked at everything she'd created from the ashes of her broken marriage, she'd know something Derek would never understand. She didn't need him to have everything she wanted. She just needed herself. At 16 weeks pregnant, Simone landed her biggest client yet, a tech startup worth $30 million that needed complete brand restructuring. The CEO had worked with her briefly at her old firm and jumped at the chance to follow her to Meridian Consulting. Derek's losing his mind, by the way, the CEO mentioned casually during their contract signing. He called me twice trying to get me to stay with your old firm. Said you were having some kind of breakdown. Simone smiled calmly. I'm having a breakthrough, not a breakdown. There's a difference. The contract was worth more than she'd made in the past 2 years combined. She signed it in her new office, a small but bright space in Midtown with room to grow. She'd hired 2 junior consultants and her virtual assistant had become full-time. Meridian Consulting was real, official, and thriving. And her pregnancy was starting to show. Simone stood in front of her bathroom mirror that evening, turning sideways to see the small but definite bump. She was wearing loose clothing to the office, but she wouldn't be able to hide it much longer. She didn't want to. This baby represented everything Derek had tried to take from her. Every kick, every flutter, every millimeter of growth was proof that she'd chosen right. That she'd protected what mattered most. Her phone rang, her mother this time. Baby, I just got off the phone with Derek's mother, her mom said, frustration clear in her voice. She says Derek is beside himself, that you won't even talk to him about the divorce. There's nothing to talk about, Simone said calmly. He cheated, he lied, and he demanded I terminate my pregnancy. What conversation could possibly change those facts? There was a long pause. Wait, what did you say about a pregnancy? Simone's heart sank. She hadn't told her mother yet. I'm pregnant, Mom. 20 weeks now. 20 weeks? Simone, that's 5 months. And you're just telling me now? I'm telling you now because it's safe, Simone said. Because I'm settled. Because I've built a life here that doesn't depend on anyone but me. Her mother was quiet for a long moment. Does Derek know? No. And I don't plan to tell him. Simone, that's his child. He gave up that right when he told me to get rid of it, Simone cut her off. Mom, he looked me in the eye and said I had to choose between him and this baby. He called our child a distraction. So I chose my baby and I walked away. Another pause. Then softly, good. You chose right. Simone felt tears prick her eyes. You mean that? Of course I mean it. That man showed you exactly who he was. I'm proud of you for believing him. Her mother's voice grew stronger. When can I come visit? Because I need to meet my grandbaby properly, and I need to help you set up a nursery. They spent the next hour on the phone talking about cribs and baby names and all the things Simone had been too afraid to plan. By the time they hung up, Simone felt lighter than she had in months. The next day she had her 20-week ultrasound. Tasha went with her, both of them crying when the technician confirmed, "It's a girl." "A girl," Simone whispered, watching her daughter move on the screen. "Perfect and whole and completely hers." "Does Dad want to know?" the technician asked cheerfully. "There is no Dad," Simone said firmly. "Just us." Back at the office, she threw herself into work with renewed energy. 2 more clients signed on. She hired another consultant. She moved into a bigger office space with room for a conference table and a small kitchen. Meridian Consulting was becoming everything she dreamed of, and more. At her building one evening, loading baby furniture from a delivery into the elevator, she met a man carrying boxes in the opposite direction. "New tenant?" he asked, holding the door for her. 3 months now, Simone said. "You?" "Just moving in today." "Justin Monroe, 4B. Simone, 5C. She gestured to her obvious pregnancy. "Sorry for taking up the whole elevator with baby stuff." "Don't apologize." "Congratulations." Justin smiled warmly. "Boy or girl?" "Girl." "That's wonderful. My sister just had a daughter." "They're amazing and terrifying in equal measure, apparently." Simone laughed. "That's what I keep hearing." They rode up together, and Justin helped her carry the boxes to her door without being asked. "If you ever need anything," he said, "I'm just downstairs." "And I mean that. New parents need all the help they can get." "Thank you," Simone said, genuinely touched. "I might take you up on that." As her pregnancy progressed, Simone found herself settling into a rhythm. Work during the day, preparing the nursery at night. Doctor's appointments that filled her with wonder. Tasha visiting on weekends to help paint and assemble furniture. She didn't think about Derek. Okay, that was a lie. She thought about him sometimes, wondered if he'd moved in with Veronica, wondered if the business had completely collapsed without her. But those thoughts felt distant, like they belonged to someone else's life. Her life was here. In Atlanta. In her growing company. In the baby girl who kicked harder every day. At 24 weeks, she got an email from their business accountant. The final accounting of assets before the divorce was finalized. Derek had lost almost everything. Half their savings went to Simone. The business was drowning without her client relationships. He'd had to sell their house at a loss to pay debts. Meanwhile, Simone's consulting firm had exceeded her first-year revenue goals in just 4 months. She should have felt triumphant. Instead, she just felt tired. "Is it weird that I don't care anymore?" she asked Tasha over dinner. "I spent weeks planning this revenge and now that it's happening, I just don't care." "That's not weird," Tasha said. "That's healing. You don't care because you've moved on. You're not defined by what he did to you anymore. You're defined by what you built after." Simone put her hand on her belly, feeling her daughter somersault inside her. "I built something pretty amazing." "You built 2 somethings," Tasha corrected. "A business and a baby. Both thriving." That weekend, Simone's mother flew in to help finish the nursery. They painted the walls a soft sage green, assembled the crib and arranged tiny clothes in the dresser. "You know he's going to find out eventually," her mother said quietly as they worked. "About the baby." "I know," Simone said. But by then I'll be so far ahead he'll never catch up. I'll have my daughter, my business, my whole life set up. What can he possibly do? He signed away his rights to everything when he signed those divorce papers. Did you put anything about the baby in the divorce agreement? Simone shook her head. Monica said it was better to leave it out. Since he thought I'd terminated, there was no reason to mention a pregnancy that he didn't know existed. We'll deal with custody and support after she's born if we have to. And if he wants to be involved? Then he'll have to prove he deserves it, Simone said firmly. He'll have to prove that the man who demanded I abort his daughter has somehow become someone worthy of knowing her. I'm not holding my breath. Her mother studied her for a long moment. You're stronger than I realized. I had to be, Simone said simply. For her. At 28 weeks, Meridian Consulting moved into an even bigger office. Simone now had 6 employees and a client roster that would have made Derek weep. She was featured in Atlanta Business Journal as one of the city's rising entrepreneurs. The article mentioned she was a recent transplant from 2 states away, starting over after a divorce. It didn't mention the pregnancy, but her baby bump was visible in the photo they used. She wondered if Derek would see it. She wondered if she cared. She did a little. She wanted him to see what he'd lost. Wanted him to realize that the woman he tried to control was soaring without him. The divorce was finalized at the beginning of her 3rd trimester. Monica called with the news, "It's done. You're legally single." "And free," Simone added. "And free," Monica agreed. That night, Simone took herself out to dinner at the nicest restaurant in Atlanta. She sat alone at a table for 2, the empty chair across from her representing everything she didn't need anymore. No husband who lied. No partner who betrayed her. No man who could tell her what to do with her body. Just her daughter, and a future she was creating one decision at a time. The waiter brought her sparkling cider in a wine glass, and Simone raised it to herself. "To new beginnings," she whispered. "To choosing me. To choosing us." Her daughter kicked in agreement. And somewhere hundreds of miles away, Derek was probably just now realizing what he'd lost. But that was his problem now. Not hers. At 32 weeks pregnant, Simone signed the lease on a second office space. Meridian Consulting needed room to expand. She now had 12 employees and a waiting list of potential clients. "You're building an empire," Justin said when he ran into her in the elevator. They'd become friendly over the months, occasionally sharing coffee in the building's courtyard. He'd helped her carry baby supplies more than once, always respectful of her space, never asking questions she didn't want to answer. "I'm building something," Simone agreed, one hand on her very round belly. "I'm not sure empire is the right word yet. Give it time." Justin smiled. He was carrying architectural plans under his arm, his own work thriving too. "Same time tomorrow for coffee? I promise I'll only judge you a little for drinking decaf." Deal. The expansion was perfect timing. 3 of her biggest clients had recommended her to other companies. She'd been asked to speak at a business conference in Miami. A local university wanted her to guest lecture on entrepreneurship. Everything was happening fast, but Simone had learned to ride the momentum instead of fighting it. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Congratulations on the business growth. I always knew you were talented. Derek." She stared at the message for a long moment. He'd somehow gotten her new number, probably through mutual contacts. The fact that he was tracking her success meant he'd seen the Atlanta Business Journal article. Did he know about the pregnancy? The article hadn't mentioned it, but the photo had shown her bump. He might have missed it. Or maybe he was in such deep denial that he'd convinced himself it couldn't be his. Simone blocked the number without responding. That evening she had dinner with Tasha and her mother, who was visiting again to help prepare for the baby's arrival. "For weeks left," her mother said, eyes shining. "How are you feeling?" "Huge," Simone laughed. "And ready." "So ready. Have you thought any more about what you'll do if Derek shows up?" Tasha asked carefully. Simone had thought about it. "A lot, actually. I have a lawyer. I have documentation of everything, the affair, the demand for abortion, the abandonment. If he tries to claim parental rights, we'll deal with it. But honestly, I don't think he will." "Why not?" her mother asked. "Because that would require him to admit he was wrong," Simone said. "It would require him to acknowledge that he told me to abort our daughter and then I left him. His ego can't handle that truth. It's easier for him to believe I'm crazy, that I'm vindictive, that I'm anything except someone who made a rational choice to protect her child." Her mother nodded slowly. "You've thought this through." "I've had 7 months to think about it," Simone said. 7 months to build a life he can't touch. By the time he figures out the truth, if he ever does, it won't matter. I'll have everything I need. The next week, Simone hired a nanny for after the baby came. Patricia was in her 50s, experienced, and came with glowing references. More importantly, she understood that Simone was doing this alone. I raised 3 kids as a single mother, Patricia said during the interview. You're doing the right thing. Building your foundation first, making sure you can provide. Too many women try to do it all at once and end up overwhelmed. I'm already overwhelmed, Simone admitted. I'm just trying to stay ahead of it. That's the secret, Patricia said with a knowing smile. Stay ahead of the overwhelm and you'll be fine. At 36 weeks, Simone had to slow down. Her doctor ordered modified bed rest after her blood pressure spiked. Nothing dangerous but enough to make her pause. She worked from home, laptop propped on her enormous belly, video conferencing with clients and managing her team remotely. Justin brought her groceries without being asked. Tasha came by every evening to make sure she was eating properly. You have good people, her mother observed during one of their daily phone calls. I do, Simone agreed. I built a community here. A real one based on truth instead of lies. And when Derek finds out? Then he finds out, Simone said. She was too tired, too pregnant, too close to the finish line to worry about Derek anymore. Whatever happens, I'm ready. At 37 weeks, Meridian Consulting won a contract with a Fortune 500 company. The deal was worth 7 figures over 3 years. Simone signed the papers from her couch, baby girl doing acrobatics inside her. You did it, Tasha squealed when Simone called to tell her. You actually did it. We did it, Simone corrected, looking down at her belly. All of us. That night, she got another text from a different unknown number. I saw the announcement about your company. We need to talk about how you're using our shared client relationships. Derek again from another number she'd have to block. But this time his message was different. Desperate. Like he was finally realizing that Simone wasn't just surviving without him. She was thriving beyond anything they'd built together. She should have blocked him immediately. Instead she typed back, there is no we. There is no our. You made that clear when you gave me an ultimatum. I made my choice. Now live with yours. Then she blocked the number and turned off her phone. Tomorrow she had a meeting with her legal team about protecting her business assets. Next week she had her final prenatal appointment before her due date. In 2 weeks she'd meet her daughter. Derek and his desperate attempts to claw back relevance were just background noise now. She'd moved on. She'd built something real. And in a few weeks, when she held her daughter for the first time, she'd know for certain that every choice she made, every hard decision, every lonely night, every moment of fear, had been worth it. Because this baby girl wouldn't grow up watching her mother be disrespected. She'd grow up watching her mother build empires. 38 weeks pregnant, Simone probably shouldn't have been at a business dinner in a 5-star restaurant. But the client was important, and the contract needed her personal touch. Just 1 hour, she'd promised Patricia, who was on standby in case labor started. I'll be home before 9. The restaurant was stunning, all modern architecture and ambient lighting. Simone wore a tailored maternity dress that somehow made her look both professional and ready to deliver at any moment. Her client, Rebecca Chin. Wait, she couldn't use Chin. Her client, Rebecca Torres, the CEO of a major investment firm, appreciated the effort. You look amazing, Rebecca said as they reviewed the contract. I cannot believe you're still working. I'll rest when the baby comes, Simone laughed. Right now, I'm just trying to set everything up so I can take maternity leave without the business falling apart. That's the dream, Rebecca agreed. Hey, I'm going to run to the ladies' room before our food arrives. Don't go into labor without me. Simone smiled and pulled out her phone to check messages. Her team had sent updates on 3 active projects. Everything was running smoothly. Then she heard a voice that made her blood run cold. Simone. She looked up slowly and there he was. Derek. Standing 10 feet away in a designer suit, looking like he'd seen a ghost. His eyes traveled from her face down to her very pregnant belly, and she watched in real time as his brain tried to process what he was seeing. He started, then stopped. His face went pale. You're pregnant. Simone's heart hammered, but she kept her expression neutral. Hello, Derek. But you got rid of. He couldn't even finish the sentence. Other diners were starting to notice the confrontation. I got rid of you, Simone said calmly. Not the baby. Never the baby. Derek stumbled backward like she'd slapped him. That's impossible. You showed me the receipt. You said. I lied. Simone stood up slowly, using the table for support. Even heavily pregnant, she towered over him in her heels and her power. I lied because you told me to choose between you and our daughter. So I chose her and I walked away. Our daughter? Derek's voice cracked. Simone, you can't. I have rights. You gave up your rights when you demanded I abort her. Simone cut him off. You gave them up when you chose Veronica. When you chose yourself. You don't get to show up now and claim something you tried to throw away. Rebecca returned from the restroom and immediately assessed the situation. Is there a problem here? No problem, Simone said, not taking her eyes off Derek. This gentleman was just leaving. Simone, please, Derek tried again. We need to talk about this. That's my child. This is my daughter, Simone said fiercely. My. And you'll never touch her. You'll never hurt her the way you hurt me. Security. The restaurant manager appeared with 2 security guards. Ma'am? This man is harassing me, Simone said clearly. I'd like him removed. Derek looked around wildly, like he couldn't believe this was happening. Simone, you can't do this. I'm her father. You're a sperm donor, Simone said coldly. Fathers don't try to erase their children before they're born. Now leave before I have you arrested for harassment. The security guards moved forward, and Derek had no choice but to go. But he turned back at the door, his face a mixture of shock and something that might have been grief. I made a mistake, he said desperately. I can see that now. Please let me fix this. Some mistakes can't be fixed, Simone said. The same words she'd sent through Monica months ago. Goodbye, Derek. He was escorted out, and Simone sank back into her chair, shaking. Rebecca sat down across from her, eyes wide. That was your ex-husband? She asked. That was the man who demanded I terminate this pregnancy, Simone said, one hand protectively on her belly. The man who cheated on me while I was trying to save our marriage. The man I walked away from 7 months ago. And he just now found out about the baby? Apparently. Simone took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. I'm sorry you had to see that. Don't apologize. Rebecca's eyes were fierce. That man deserved everything you just said. And more. She paused. Are you okay? Do you need to go to the hospital? Simone checked herself. No contractions, baby was moving normally. I'm okay. Just shaken. They finished their dinner, signed the contract, and Simone went home to find Tasha waiting in her living room. Mom called, Tasha said. She said Derek somehow got her number, was demanding to know about the baby. He saw me tonight, Simone explained. At dinner. There was no hiding it. How did he react? Like I'd committed some crime by not aborting our daughter when he told me to, Simone said bitterly. Like he has any right to this baby after what he did. Her phone started ringing, Derek's mother this time. Simone sent it to voicemail. Then Derek called from yet another number. She blocked it. He's going to spiral, Tasha warned. He's going to try everything to get to you. Let him try, Simone said. I have lawyers. I have documentation. I have 7 months of building a life he's not part of. What can he possibly do? The answer came 3 days later. A letter from Derek's attorney requesting a paternity test and shared custody. Simone read it twice, then calmly forwarded it to Monica. Ignore it, Monica advised. He has no legal standing. You're not married anymore and there's no father listed on any of your medical records. Let him file a petition if he wants. We'll bury him in documentation of abandonment and his demand for abortion. He's not going to stop, Simone said. No, Monica agreed. But he's not going to win either. That night, Simone went into labor. The contraction started at 2 a.m., regular and strong. By 4 a.m., Simone was at the hospital with Tasha and her mother by her side. By noon, she was holding her daughter, Jordan Isabella. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Perfect. She has your eyes, Tasha whispered, tears streaming down her face. She has my everything, Simone murmured, unable to look away from the tiny face. Because she's mine. All mine. Derek called 17 times during her labor. Simone's phone was off in Tasha's purse, completely ignored. Do you want me to tell him? Tasha asked gently. That she's here? No, Simone said firmly. He doesn't get to know. He doesn't get to be part of this. Monica arrived the next morning with papers to sign. Legal documents establishing Simone as sole parent, with no father listed on the birth certificate. Are you sure about this? Monica asked. Once you file these, it's very hard to undo. Simone looked at Jordan sleeping in her arms. I'm sure. He wanted her gone. I want him gone. Fair trade. For 3 days, Simone stayed in the hospital, recovering and bonding with her daughter. The nurses taught her to breastfeed. Her mother helped with diaper changes. Tasha took about 1,000 photos. And Derek kept calling. On the 4th day, when Simone came home to her apartment, she found a letter slipped under her door. Derek's handwriting. Simone, please. I know I messed up. I know I can't take back what I said. But that's my daughter too. I have a right to meet her. To know her. I'm begging you, give me a chance to make this right. I'll do anything. Derek. Simone read it once, then put it through her shredder. The next week brought more letters. More calls from numbers she didn't recognize. More messages through mutual friends. Derek was persistent, she'd give him that. But Simone was immovable. You don't understand what you're doing, Derek's mother said when she showed up uninvited at Simone's office 2 weeks after Jordan's birth. That's Derek's child. You're denying him his rights as a father. He denied his own rights when he told me to abort her, Simone said coldly. Patricia had Jordan in the nursery Simone had set up at her office, a perk of being the CEO. He made his choice. I'm just enforcing it. People make mistakes. Some mistakes have permanent consequences. Simone cut her off. Derek chose Veronica. Derek chose his career. Derek chose everything except this baby. So now this baby chooses not to know him. Seems fair to me. Derek's mother left in tears, but Simone felt nothing. She'd spent too many nights crying over Derek's betrayal to waste sympathy on his regret. A month after Jordan's birth, Derek filed a formal petition for paternity testing and custody rights. Monica wasn't worried. We have everything. The texts where he demanded abortion. Your medical records showing you were pregnant when he thought you weren't. His own divorce papers where he claimed no children existed. He has no case. The court date was set for 3 months out. In the meantime, Simone threw herself into being a mother and running her business. Meridian Consulting continued to grow. She brought Jordan to client meetings in a designer carrier. She pumped milk between conference calls. She built a system where she could be both CEO and mom without sacrificing either role. And every night when she rocked Jordan to sleep, she'd whisper, "You're worth everything. Every hard choice. Every lonely moment. You're worth it all." Derek tried to show up at her office once. Security turned him away. He tried to approach her at a coffee shop. She had the police escort him out. He sent gifts for Jordan, designer baby clothes, expensive toys. Simone donated them all. "You're being cruel," one of their mutual friends said when she ran into Simone at a networking event. "He's trying to make amends." "He demanded I kill my daughter," Simone said flatly. "There are no amends for that. There's only distance." Meanwhile, Derek's life was falling apart in spectacular fashion. The business he tried to save by losing Simone had collapsed completely. His clients had all moved on, most of them to Meridian Consulting. He'd had to declare bankruptcy. Veronica had left him 6 weeks after the divorce was final, according to the whispers Simone heard through their old circles. Apparently, dating a married man was exciting. Being with a broke, desperate one was not. Derek was alone, jobless, and losing his mind trying to reach a daughter he'd never met. Simone knew she should feel triumphant. Instead, she just felt tired. "Do you ever regret it?" Tasha asked one evening as they watched Jordan sleep. "Cutting him out completely?" "No," Simone said without hesitation. "I regret that Jordan won't have a father. But I don't regret protecting her from a man who saw her as disposable. She deserves better than someone who only wants her now because he lost everything else." "What if he changes?" "Then he can prove it to the court," Simone said. "And even then I'll fight him every step of the way. Because I remember the look in his eyes when he told me to take care of it. I remember how easily he was willing to erase her. That man doesn't get to change his mind just because his life went sideways." The court date approached. Monica was confident. "He has nothing, Simone. His lawyer knows it too. I expect them to withdraw the petition." They didn't withdraw. Instead, Derek showed up in court looking like he hadn't slept in weeks, with a lawyer who looked embarrassed to be there. Simone showed up looking like the successful CEO she was, with Jordan in Patricia's arms in the gallery and a legal team that could buy and sell Derek's entire life. The judge reviewed the evidence. Derek's text demanding abortion. Simone's medical records. The timeline of events. The divorce decree where Derek claimed no children. "Mr. Anderson," the judge said finally, "you're asking this court to grant you paternity rights to a child you explicitly told the mother to terminate. A child you claim you didn't know existed, despite the mother being 7 months pregnant when you saw her. A child you have made no effort to support financially. Is that correct? Derek's lawyer tried to argue, but the judge cut him off. Petition denied. Furthermore, I'm issuing a restraining order. Mr. Anderson, you are to have no contact with Miss Simone or her daughter. If you wish to revisit this matter, you may do so when the child turns 18 and can make her own decisions. Until then, you will respect Miss Simone's wishes as the sole legal parent. Derek looked like he'd been punched. Your Honor, please. We're done here, the judge said firmly. Simone walked out of that courtroom with her head high and her daughter in her arms. Derek was still inside, probably trying to figure out how everything had gone so wrong. But that wasn't her problem anymore. She'd won. The first 3 months of Jordan's life were a blur of late-night feedings, first smiles, and business decisions made with a baby strapped to her chest. Simone had never been more exhausted or more fulfilled. Meridian Consulting had grown to 20 employees. They'd opened a second office in Miami. Simone had been featured in Forbes as one of the top entrepreneurs under 40 to watch. And through it all, Jordan was there, sleeping in her office nursery during meetings, being passed between Patricia and Tasha during conference calls, present for every milestone. She's going to grow up thinking board meetings are normal, Tasha joked during one particularly chaotic day when Jordan decided to have a meltdown right before a major client presentation. She's going to grow up knowing her mother built something from nothing, Simone countered, finally soothing Jordan with practiced ease. That's not a bad lesson. Derek had gone quiet after the court order. No more calls, no more letters, no more surprise appearances. For 3 months, Simone didn't hear from him at all. She should have known it wouldn't last. The message came through LinkedIn, the one platform she hadn't blocked him on because she'd forgotten he even had an account. Simone, I know I'm not supposed to contact you. But I saw the Forbes article. You look happy. Jordan is beautiful. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry. For everything. You were right to leave me. You were right to protect her from me. I hope someday I can be the man who deserves to know her. But I understand if that day never comes. Be well. Derek. Simone read it 3 times, looking for the manipulation, the hidden agenda, the trap. She couldn't find one. It sounded like acceptance. Maybe even growth. She showed it to Tasha, who studied it carefully. What do you think it means? I think it means he finally realized he lost, Simone said. Really lost. Not just the court case but everything. And maybe he's making peace with that. Are you going to respond? Simone looked at Jordan, who was playing with her toes in the bouncer, completely oblivious to the adult drama surrounding her existence. No, she said finally. Because responding opens a door I fought hard to close. Maybe Derek is sorry. Maybe he's changed. But that doesn't mean Jordan needs him in her life. She has me, she has her grandmother, she has Tasha and Patricia and a whole community of people who chose to love her. That's enough. She deleted the message and blocked Derek on LinkedIn too. That weekend, Justin invited her to a gallery showing of his architectural work. Simone almost said no. Going out with Jordan was complicated, but Tasha insisted on babysitting. You need to do something that's just for you, Tasha said. Go look at pretty buildings. Drink fancy mocktails. Remember you're a human, not just a mom and CEO. So Simone went. The gallery was beautiful, Justin's work even more so. He designed sustainable buildings that were both functional and artistic. Simone found herself genuinely impressed. These are incredible, she told him during the reception. Thank you. Justin smiled. I wasn't sure you'd come. Almost didn't, Simone admitted. Leaving Jordan is still hard. But you did it. That's growth. Justin paused. Can I ask you something? And you can absolutely tell me it's none of my business. Go ahead. Jordan's father. Is he in the picture at all? Simone tensed, but Justin's face showed only gentle curiosity, no judgment. No, she said. He's not. It's just us. His loss, Justin said simply. You're an amazing mother. And an amazing entrepreneur. Whoever couldn't see that doesn't deserve to be part of what you're building. It was the kindest thing anyone had said to her in months. They talked for another hour about architecture and consulting and the challenges of building businesses in competitive markets. It was easy, comfortable, and entirely drama-free. When Simone got home, Tasha was bursting with questions. So, how was it? Is he single? Did he ask you out? It was nice, Simone said, laughing at her cousin's enthusiasm. And yes, he's single. And no, he didn't ask me out. We're just friends. For now, Tasha said knowingly. But I saw how he looks at you in the elevator. That man is interested. Even if he is, Simone said, picking up Jordan and breathing in her baby scent, I'm not ready. Maybe I won't be ready for a long time. And that's okay. But she thought about it. About Justin's kind eyes and easy conversation. About the possibility that maybe, someday she could trust someone again. Not now. Not yet. But someday. At Jordan's 6-month checkup, the pediatrician asked about family medical history. Simone listed everything she knew from her side, then hesitated at the section for father's information. I don't have that, she said finally. The doctor looked up. Dad's not involved? No. The doctor made a note, no judgment in her expression. Well, Jordan is perfectly healthy. You're doing great. You're doing great. Simone held on to those words during the hard nights, the challenging days, the moments when she wondered if she was enough. She was enough. She was more than enough. Meridian Consulting signed its biggest contract yet, a 3-year deal with a multinational corporation worth 8 figures. Simone signed the papers with Jordan sleeping in a carrier on her chest, both of them present for the triumph. This is for you, Simone whispered to her daughter. All of this, so you never have to depend on anyone the way I depended on him. So you know your worth and you never let anyone make you small. Jordan yawned in response, completely unimpressed by the millions of dollars her mother had just secured. Simone laughed and kissed her daughter's head. This was victory. Not the money, not the success, not even the fact that Derek was nowhere in sight. Victory was this moment. This baby. This life they'd built together. Everything else was just details. Derek's business officially closed 6 months after Jordan was born. Simone heard about it through former colleagues. Apparently he tried to rebuild, but without her client relationships and her strategic vision, there was nothing left to salvage. She felt nothing when she heard the news. No triumph, no vindication. Just nothing. That's growth, Monica said when Simone mentioned it during their quarterly legal review. You've moved so far past him that his failures don't even register anymore. Is it terrible that I don't care? Simone asked. It's healthy, Monica corrected. You built something better. You don't need to watch him fail to feel successful. Meridian Consulting was thriving beyond Simone's wildest projections. She'd just hired her 30th employee. They were opening a 3rd office in Chicago. She'd been asked to write a book about entrepreneurship. And Jordan was growing into the happiest baby Simone had ever seen. All smiles and giggles, reaching for everything, lighting up every room she entered. She has no idea what she's missing, Tasha observed one Sunday during brunch, watching Jordan charm everyone at their favorite cafe. A father who didn't want her. That's the goal, Simone said. I want her childhood to be so full of love that she never feels the absence. I want her to be so confident in who she is that she doesn't need validation from someone who couldn't see her worth. At Jordan's first birthday party, Simone's apartment was packed with people. Her employees, her friends, her mother, Tasha's whole family, Patricia, and even some clients who'd become genuine friends. Justin was there too, having become a regular presence in their lives. He'd helped Simone move into a bigger apartment when Jordan started crawling. He'd fixed her leaking sink at 2 a.m. when she'd been too exhausted to call a plumber. He'd never pushed, never assumed, just quietly become part of their community. Make a wish, everyone called as Jordan smashed her hands into her first birthday cake, blue frosting everywhere. Simone closed her eyes and wished for the same thing she'd been wishing for months, that this happiness would last. That Jordan would grow up strong and loved. That the life they built would stay solid and true. When she opened her eyes, Justin was watching her with a soft expression. What? She asked, laughing self-consciously. Nothing, he said. You just look happy. Really happy. I am, Simone realized. For the first time in years, I really am. That night, after everyone left and Jordan was asleep, Simone sat in her living room and looked at the photos from the party. A year ago, she'd been 7 months pregnant, alone, terrified of the future. Now she had everything. Her phone buzzed, an email from Derek's lawyer. She almost deleted it without reading, but something made her open it. Miss Simone, I'm writing to inform you that Derek Anderson has dropped all legal proceedings regarding Jordan. He's also moved to Seattle for a job opportunity. He wanted me to pass along that he won't be contacting you again. He wishes you and your daughter well. Robert Chong. Simone read it twice, then forwarded it to Monica with a simple message, "It's really over." Monica replied immediately, "It was over the moment you walked away. This is just him finally accepting it." She should feel relieved. She did feel relieved. But there was something else too, a tiny, unexpected sadness for the life that could have been. Not the life with Derek, but the life where Jordan had a father who wanted her. Who chose her. Who showed up. Your daughter is lucky, Justin said the next day when she mentioned Derek's departure. They were at the park, Jordan toddling between them on unsteady new legs. She has a mother who chose her over everything. That's more valuable than a father who had to be forced to care. Do you really believe that? Simone asked. I grew up without my dad, Justin said quietly. He left when I was 2. And you know what? I never missed him because my mom made sure I never felt the absence. She loved me enough for 2 parents. That's what you're doing for Jordan. Simone watched her daughter chase a butterfly, completely carefree, and felt her heart expand. Yeah, she said softly. That's exactly what I'm doing. At 18 months, Jordan took her first real steps. At 2 years, she said her first full sentence. At 3 years, she started preschool. And through it all, Derek was a ghost. Gone. Erased. As absent as he'd wanted their daughter to be. Meridian Consulting expanded to 5 offices across 3 states. Simone was named one of the most influential business leaders under 40. She bought a house, a real house with a yard and a swing set and room for Jordan to grow. And slowly, carefully, she let Justin into their lives. Not as a replacement father, Jordan didn't need replacing, but as someone who cared. Someone who showed up. Someone who made Simone laugh and made Jordan giggle and fit into their little family like he'd always belonged there. Is this okay? Justin asked one night after Jordan was asleep. They were on Simone's porch, drinking wine and watching the stars. Me being here? More than okay, Simone said honestly. You've never pushed. Never demanded. Never tried to take what I wasn't ready to give. That means everything. I learned patience in architecture, Justin joked. Some things can't be rushed. They have to be built carefully, one piece at a time. Is that what we're doing? Building something? I hope so, Justin said softly. If you want to. Simone thought about Derek, who'd tried to force her to choose. Who'd given ultimatums and made demands and couldn't see past his own wants. Then she looked at Justin, who'd been patient for 3 years. Who loved Jordan without trying to claim her. Who supported Simone without trying to control her. Yeah, she said finally. I want to. They took it slow. So slow that Tasha complained they were moving at geological speeds. But Simone needed slow. Needed to trust again. Needed to believe that not every man would try to erase the parts of her life he found inconvenient. Justin proved himself worthy of that trust every single day. At Jordan's 4th birthday party, Justin was the one helping her blow out candles. He was the one she ran to when she scraped her knee. He was the one who read her bedtime stories and made her laugh and treated her like she was precious. He's good for you, Simone's mother said, watching them together. Both of you. I know, Simone agreed. I just never thought I'd trust someone again after Derek. Derek was a lesson, her mother said. Justin is the prize. Don't confuse the two. By the time Jordan turned 5, Simone and Justin were officially together. Not married. Simone wasn't ready for that yet, might never be ready for that again, but committed. Building something real. Derek never came back. Never called. Never tried to reach out. He'd become exactly what Simone had wanted, irrelevant. And in his absence, she'd built something beautiful. 7 years after the divorce, Simone stood on stage accepting an award for Entrepreneur of the Year. Meridian Consulting had grown into a firm worth $50 million. She had offices in 8 cities and 200 employees. And sitting in the front row, beaming with pride, was 7-year-old Jordan. This award belongs to my daughter, Simone said into the microphone. 7 years ago, I had to make the hardest choice of my life. Someone told me I couldn't have both. I couldn't be a mother and build something significant. So I proved them wrong. Jordan, honey, this is for you. For being my inspiration. For being my reason. For being everything I needed to become the person standing here today. The crowd erupted in applause. Jordan was bouncing in her seat, and Justin had his arm around her, both of them glowing with happiness. After the ceremony, Simone's phone lit up with congratulations. Messages from clients, employees, friends. Even some old colleagues from her previous life, before Derek, before everything fell apart. And one message from a number she almost didn't recognize. Congratulations. You deserve every success. Derek. Simone stared at it for a long moment. 7 years of silence, and this was what he chose to send. A generic congratulations like they were old acquaintances instead of 2 people who destroyed each other's lives. She almost deleted it. Then she typed back, I know. 2 letters. That's all he deserved. Because she did know. She knew her worth. She knew what she'd built. She knew she'd taken the wreckage of her broken marriage and transformed it into something powerful. She knew she'd chosen right. "Everything okay?" Justin asked when she rejoined him and Jordan. "Everything's perfect," Simone said, scooping Jordan into her arms. "Absolutely perfect." That weekend the three of them went to the beach. Jordan built sandcastles while Simone and Justin watched from their blanket. "She's never asked about her father," Justin observed quietly. "Is that normal?" "It's our normal," Simone said. "She knows the story, that she has a biological father who isn't in her life. She knows it's not her fault. And she knows she has more than enough people who love her." "Does she know I'm not her biological father?" "Of course," Simone said. "We've always been honest with her. She knows you chose to be in her life. That you chose both of us. That's more powerful than biology." Justin was quiet for a moment. "Can I ask you something?" "Always." "Would you ever let Derek back in? If he tried to build a relationship with Jordan?" Simone thought about it carefully. "If Jordan, when she's older, wants to meet him, I won't stop her. But I also won't facilitate it. He had 7 years to fight for her. He had 7 years to prove he'd changed. He chose silence instead. That's his answer." "Good," Justin said firmly. "Because she deserves better than someone who shows up when it's convenient." That night, tucking Jordan into bed, Simone listened to her daughter's prayers. "Thank you for Mommy and for Justin and for Grandma and for Tasha and for Patricia and for all my friends at school and for my teachers and—" Jordan paused. "And bless the daddy I don't have, wherever he is. I hope he's okay." Simone's throat tightened. "That's very kind of you, sweetheart." "Mommy says everyone deserves kindness," Jordan said seriously. "Even people who make mistakes." "That's true," Simone agreed. "But kindness doesn't mean letting them hurt you." "I know," Jordan yawned. "That's why he's not here. Because he would have hurt us." Sometimes Simone forgot how perceptive her daughter was. "Get some sleep, baby girl. We have brunch with Auntie Tasha tomorrow. Can Justin make his special pancakes?" "I'm sure he will if you ask nicely." Jordan was asleep within minutes, her face peaceful and content. Simone stood in the doorway for a long time just watching. This child who Derek had wanted her to erase. This beautiful, brilliant, kind child who was growing up strong and loved. She'd made the right choice. Every single time she'd made the right choice. Downstairs, Justin was cleaning up the kitchen. Simone wrapped her arms around him from behind, resting her head on his back. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For being patient. For not pushing. For loving Jordan without trying to replace what she lost. For loving me even when I was too scared to love you back." Justin turned and pulled her close. "Simone, you're the strongest person I know. You rebuilt your entire life from nothing. You raised an incredible kid on your own. You built a business empire. Loving you isn't hard. It's the easiest thing I've ever done." They stood there in her kitchen, their kitchen now, and Simone felt something she hadn't felt in years. Complete peace. No fear that it would be ripped away. No waiting for the other shoe to drop. No wondering if this happiness was temporary. This was real. This was hers. This was everything she'd fought for. A year later, Simone and Justin got engaged. Jordan was the one who helped him pick out the ring, a simple band with 3 small diamonds. "One for each of us," Justin had explained. "Is this okay?" he asked Simone when he proposed. "I know marriage is complicated for you." "It was complicated with the wrong person," Simone corrected. "With you it's simple." "Yes." They got married in a small ceremony in Simone's backyard, with Jordan as the flower girl and 50 of their closest people celebrating. No fancy reception, no stress, just joy. Derek sent a card. Simone almost threw it away, but Jordan saw it first. "Who's it from?" her daughter asked. "Someone from my past," Simone said carefully. Jordan studied the envelope, then handed it back. "Do you want to read it?" "Not particularly." "Then don't," Jordan said simply. "Tasha says we don't owe our energy to people who didn't earn it." Simone laughed. "Tasha's right." She threw the card away without opening it. Because that's what the past deserved, to stay in the past. Her present was perfect. Jordan thriving in school. Justin's architecture firm growing. Meridian Consulting expanding internationally. A family built on choice and love instead of obligation and resentment. This was the revenge Derek never saw coming. Not destruction. Not cruelty. Not making him pay. Just her living so well that his absence didn't even leave a shadow. At Jordan's 8th birthday party, surrounded by friends and family and laughter, Simone took a moment to step back and observe. Justin was teaching kids to make balloon animals. Tasha was managing the cake situation. Her mother was taking about 10,000 photos. Patricia had retired but still showed up for every milestone. And Jordan, beautiful, confident, happy Jordan, was at the center of it all, completely secure in who she was. "You did good," her mother said, appearing beside her with 2 glasses of lemonade. "Look at what you built." "We built," Simone corrected. "All of us." "No," her mother said firmly. "You built this. You made the hard choices. You walked away when it would have been easier to stay. You chose your daughter over everything else. This empire, this family, this life. It exists because you refused to accept less than you deserved." Simone felt tears prick her eyes. "Do you think she'll ever ask about Derek?" "Probably," her mother said. "When she's older. And when she does, you'll tell her the truth, that you chose her. That you protected her. That you built her a life so full of love that she never had to miss what she didn't have. And if she wants to meet him? Then you'll support her," her mother said. "Because that's what good mothers do." "But Simone? I don't think she will. Look at her. Look at how loved she is. Why would she need someone who didn't want her when she has so many people who chose her?" Simone watched Jordan teaching her friends a new game, leading with natural confidence, including everyone, making sure no one felt left out. "She's better than both of us," Simone murmured. "She got the best of me without any of Derek's worst." "She got the best of you because you made sure of it," her mother corrected. "You healed yourself so you could raise her whole. That's the real victory." That night, after everyone had gone home and Jordan was asleep, Simone sat on her porch with Justin and looked at the stars. "Do you ever regret it?" Justin asked. "How everything happened?" "I regret that I wasted 5 years with the wrong person," Simone said honestly. "I regret that Jordan has a biological father who couldn't see her worth. But everything else? The divorce, starting over, building Meridian, finding you? No regrets at all. Even the hard parts?" "Especially the hard parts," Simone said. "Because the hard parts taught me who I really was. They showed me what I was capable of. They led me here." She looked at her house, her family, her life. "I spent so long thinking Derek won because he got what he wanted. Freedom from responsibility, a chance to start over. But you know what? He lost everything that mattered. And I gained everything I needed." "We gained everything we needed," Justin corrected, taking her hand. "We," Simone agreed, smiling. "I like that word." 7 months after the divorce, Derek had seen her pregnant and realized she'd never had an abortion. In that moment he'd understood what he'd lost. But Simone hadn't been thinking about him. She'd been thinking about the daughter growing inside her. The business she was building. The life she was creating. And now, 8 years later, she wasn't thinking about him either. She was thinking about tomorrow's board meeting. About Jordan's school project. About the vacation she and Justin were planning. Derek had become what she'd always wanted him to be. Irrelevant. And in the space where he'd once dominated her thoughts, she'd built something beautiful. A company worth tens of millions. A daughter worth everything. A love worth waiting for. A life worth living. That was the ultimate revenge. Not his suffering, but her thriving. Not his loss, but her gain. Not destroying him, but becoming so successful that his destruction was merely a footnote in her story of triumph. And as Simone sat there under the stars, with her husband beside her and her daughter sleeping peacefully upstairs, she realized something profound. She'd won. Not because Derek lost, but because she'd never needed him to win in the first place. She'd always had everything she needed. She just had to choose herself to realize it.